My name is Luz Vargas, and this is a simulated lesson for my edTpa. The lesson that I'm going to be presenting today is a comprehension strategy lesson. Now, this lesson was presented to a guided reading group in which I worked with a focused learner. Her name is Anna. Of course, that's not her real name. And we worked in a, it was part of my practicum, and I worked with the children, and along with the cooperating teacher and the speech specialist, we came up with some lesson plans to teach this group in particular comprehension strategies, because they were having problems with their comprehension. So in my lesson plan, I have 3 lessons that scaffold upon each other and teaches 3 different kind of strategies, and at the end they get to apply those strategies that they learned in a sort of a book report that they're gonna do. This lesson is gonna be my first lesson, and this lesson is gonna be on how to examine and look at an illustration in a book and look for clues not only in the illustration but also in the words in the story. So this lesson was attached to, of course, the Common Core Standard, which is Common Core Standard for Reading Standards for Literature for grades 2. So it's standard number 7. Use information gained from illustration and words in a print or digital text to demonstrate understanding of its characters, setting, or plot. So for this lesson, I'm going to use this book, Miss Rubenstein Beauty. Good morning, class. Today, I am going to read a very special book. Now, this book is one of my favorite books, but I am not going to read the whole story today because we're going to examine this book, and it's going to take us 2 days to do it, but we'll be able to do it, and you're going to understand everything that went on in the story, and you're going to be able to answer comprehension questions, which I know you have problems with. So we are going to do this because we're going to show you different kind of strategies that you could use when you're reading a book. And these strategies are going to help you understand what you read, and they're going to help you answer comprehension questions. Okay? So, the first thing that I want to do is I want to ask you a question, which I know that you guys know the answer. What does an author do? That's right, an author writes the words in a book. That's right. And what does an illustrator do? They draw pictures. They draw the pictures that you find in the book. And this book has beautiful pictures, by the way. Now, this book is going to give, as we go along, this book is going to give you a lot of information, but the information is not only going to come from the words, it's also going to come from the illustration. So we must pay attention to what we see. Okay, so I'm going to read you a few pages of the book, and then we're going to examine the words, and we're going to examine the illustration. Now, when we finish doing this, I'm going to give you this sheet. This sheet is called a KWL chart. And now a KWL chart, it's almost like a map. You're going to write down what you know, then you're going to write down what you want to know, and at the end, when I finish reading the book, you're going to write down what you've learned. So it's going to kind of guide you through the book, and you're going to be able to write down what you already know. Okay? So it has 3 parts. The first part says what I already know. The second part says what I want to know. And the last part, what I have learned. Now we're not going to fill out this part first because we haven't finished reading the book yet. So we're going to fill in these 2 columns when we finish reading the book, and then I'm going to ask you a few more questions and we're going to examine the illustrations, okay? Now, let's look at this book. What do you see in this book? Okay, we see a picture of a young lady. And she's holding a fan. And there's a little bird on the side. Okay. And the title of this book is Miss Rubenstein's Beauty by Pep Montserrat. Okay. Now, Miss Rubenstein's Beauty, what do you think this book is going to be about? Oh, you think it's going to be about fashion? It's possible. Oh, you think it's going to be about her, and who's this character? Who do you think this character is? You think she's Miss Rubenstein? Okay, so let's see. So far we see a beautiful lady or a lady. We don't know if it's Miss Rubenstein yet, but there's a lady holding a fan. Okay. Miss Rubenstein's Beauty. Miss Rubenstein is a beautiful woman, but nobody knows it. Miss Rubenstein has very beautiful eyes, but nobody sees them. I don't know. What do you see in this picture? I mean, her eyes look pretty big in this picture. Yet the author is saying that nobody sees them. Why do you think the author is saying that? We don't know yet, so let's continue. Miss Rubenstein's nose is wonderful, but nobody pays attention to her wonderful nose. Now let's look at the illustrations. I don't understand what's going on. Here's Miss Rubenstein, so I guess we figure out that this is Miss Rubenstein. And here she is displaying her beautiful nose. We see a crowd looking at her, but the author's saying that nobody pays attention to her wonderful nose. What could they be looking at? I mean, they are staring at her. Well, let's see. Miss Rubenstein's pretty hands move harmoniously and delicately. But nobody notices the delicate harmony of her pretty hands when they move. Nobody notices that. Or the special grace that her small feet give to the way she walks. No, nobody notices these things because all that people see. And this is the end of the story. I am not going to tell you what happens next. What we are going to do is we're going to fill in our what we know, what we want to know chart. And you are going to make a prediction. You're going to guess. You're going to tell me what do you think is going to happen next. Based on the things that you see in the illustrations and based on the words that we've already read. And then we're going to put it to the side because tomorrow we're going to finish reading the story and we're going to see if your predictions are correct. When you finish that, I'm going to give you this worksheet. Now this worksheet, it has a few questions, but don't get intimidated by that. They're very simple questions, but I want you to learn how to examine the pages and the illustration. So in this illustration, this is a picture of one of the pages in the book. Okay? And I'm going to read the instructions for you. In this picture, we can see a crowd of people looking at Miss Rubenstein. Yet the author states that nobody pays attention to her nose. What do you think the author meant by this? How could that be? They're staring at her, aren't they? Explain in your own words what you think the author is trying to say. Why do you think the crowd did not pay attention to her nose? And what could the crowd be looking at? So you are going to make a prediction based on the illustration and the words that we just finished reading. And once we do that, then tomorrow we're going to finish reading the story and we're going to compare our notes and we're going to see if what we wrote and what we saw in the illustration connect with the things that we predicted would happen. Okay? So you can pick up your papers now and go back to your seat. And I will help you if you need any help. Okay?